Hello again, Pillow Talkers. This week's episode is a short segment lifted from a longer module setting the foundation for emotional mastery. And this is taken from a module for my program Turned On, the inner game of being on your game, which just started actually. So we are in it, and it's already so much fun. So enjoy this little segment, and I will catch you at the end of the episode. Relax. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Welcome to Pillow Talk Radio, the most delicious place to be. On this podcast, we explore how to create more connection, possibility, romance, and magic in love and in life. I'm your host and relationship specialist, Cora Boyd. Are you with me? So we are going to have a conversation about emotions. Emotional mastery, emotional intelligence is so liberating. It's so liberating. When we don't know how to process emotions or be with emotions or understand them, we're still feeling them, right? Like they're still part of our reality, but we are unconsciously going around in reactivity mode of like, oh, that made me feel this thing. I didn't like that. I'm going to bottle that up. I'm going to go over here because I didn't like that feeling. So I'm going to avoid looking at what's going on internally, and I'm going to suppress and go over here, right, in reaction to this, right? Or this person said this thing and it hits on this wound of all this like suppressed, bottled up, compounded emotion that I have here, and I can't handle it. So I'm going to just like explode and sabotage this relationship, right? Emotional mastery, emotional intelligence is freedom. It not only improves our relationships and how we interact with other people, it also improves our experience and our quality of life, right? Because we're able to participate in what is happening. We're able to be conscious in what is happening for us. We're able to be intentional, and we are able to go for things or to try new things because we can be with and process and understand the emotions that come up when we do new things, like fear, like excitement, right? Like all of these things. When I say emotional mastery, I don't mean that we dominate emotions. I mean that we have mastery around how we are with our emotions, right? So like we're still going to feel things. Things are going to still come up. We're going to still feel things sometimes that like we would rather not be feeling. Emotional mastery isn't just like, do this one thing, down boy, it's gone, right? Like, no. It's the ability to process emotions, to have awareness around our emotions, to receive the messages that emotions are here to deliver to us, to alchemize and to be able to transmute emotions. So I'm going to explain what I mean by some of that. You may have heard the phrase, emotions are energy in motion. I like that. Emotions are the filter of our experience, right? So like if we're in a state of gratitude and joy, it's kind of like the filter that we're experiencing whatever we're experiencing through, right? It's the context. Emotions can set the context. An emotional state can set the context. That's one layer of it, right? Versus if we're like or if we're feeling like grumpy and crunchy and angry and like a lot of dense emotions, we could have the same experience in our reality and experience it very differently because it's through a different filter. The other way that I want us to understand emotions is that emotions are messengers. They transmit information to us. They are feedback, right? And that's why it's such a disservice when we shut our emotions off, because we're shutting off a huge form of intelligence, right? A huge way that we can receive information and feedback to be able to navigate the world, to bring what we desire, to bring what we are wanting into fruition, right? So when I say that emotions transmit information, that they give us feedback, that they're messengers, what I mean by that is If we feel jealousy, for example, what is that feeling telling us? It's typically an indicator that we see someone who has something or is living something or an experience that we desire to have or experience. It's not always the most pleasant emotion to be feeling, right? So we might shut that down because we can't be with it and get curious about like, what is this messenger trying to convey to me? I feel jealousy. That person sucks. Look at her. She's just flaunting around like, God, so distasteful, blah, 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 blah. But there's a charge. There's jealousy. It's like, oh shit. Maybe there's something that she has or the way that she's being that I want to have her be. There's a lot of frustration and jealousy because it's a feeling of not having the thing and somehow feeling that them having the thing means that we can't have the thing, right? Where we can actually alchemize and transmute that into like, ooh, I felt jealousy. Ooh, great. An indicator, some direction around what I want. Oh, what do I feel jealous? What feels triggering to me around that? Well, maybe it's her confidence. Do I desire to step into more confidence? So it's typically, there's the frustration we might feel that we can't have it. We can actually, instead of shutting down, criticizing this person that has what we want to have, thereby actually creating more separation between us and the thing that we want to have, because we start making this story about, oh, rich people are like this. And it's a negative thing that we don't want to associate our identity with, but we actually desire to have more financial security and abundance in our lives, right? We're not going to create that for ourselves because it is dissonant with our identity. We're like, what? But they're bad. I'm not bad. When we're unconscious around these things, we really limit our reality. But when we can be like, whoa, we still feel the thing. We're like, oof, I feel jealous. Sometimes we might choose to engage on a deeper level of what's going on there. But like, it is so fucking liberating to do that with yourself and give that to yourself of, I feel jealous. Interesting. Okay, I'm going to process. I'm going to feel it. I'm going to do my stuff around it. What's actually happening? Well, I see them doing or having something that I desire, but I'm pretending I don't desire it because that's a way that I am protecting my ego from the reality that I don't have it. Then it's like, oh, okay. Cool. Great honesty with yourself. Do I maybe want the thing that she has? Yeah. But I don't want to let myself want it because I'm afraid I can't have it. And if I don't get to have it, then I'm going to be disappointed. We get to unpack it. And then it's like, oh, wow. Thanks, jealousy. You just led me in the direction of my desires. So emotions are information. Anger, for example, we might think of anger as a bad emotion. So something happens and we feel angry, but then we're like, we judge ourselves for it. It's like, no, I don't want to feel angry. I don't want to feel that. It's not pleasant. It's not pleasant to feel that. I don't want to feel it. It's like shut down, suppress, numb, blah, 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 right? Anger is telling you something. Anger is telling you that crossed the line for me. That rubbed up against my values. That wasn't okay for me. There's an opportunity for me to set a boundary. There's information about misalignment. This is where sensitivity and emotions and knowing how to process, it's like, how much more unconsciously are we going through everything if we are like, there's like a little bird that's like, hello, we have a message. We have a message for you. And we're just like, no, right? And then it's like, there's so much information. There's so much information available for us at all times. And we have to be willing to receive it and willing to see it. And in order to feel safe doing that, it helps to be able to process our emotions. Like we talked about with the shame resilience. A lot of times we will resist learning something new because it might elicit feelings of shame around, oh my God, I didn't know that. Or, oh my God, I've been doing it this way. I described it recently on a podcast as like that feeling of being at a party and like talking to someone you're really into and you go to the bathroom and you have shit in your teeth and you're just like, right? So if we don't know how to process shame or some of these denser, unpreferred emotions, that they're valid and they're there to give us information, we're going to avoid experiences that might elicit unpleasant or unpreferred emotions. And we're like, no, I can't be available for that. And then we're fucking missing out on shit left and right. We're missing out on shit left and right because we're afraid to feel emotions. What is an emotion really? It's a sensation. Yeah, it can feel like, because it can feel like the filter we're seeing things through, when we're able to see with clarity, I'm feeling a feeling, we can extricate that and separate that from like, this is definitely what's happening, right? Like this is freedom. The ability to move through shame, to alchemize shame and fear, and move through shame and fear instead of, oh, that feeling's coming up, put it back in the box, right? Like, what is available for you on the other side of clearing that emotion? I have learned to know that shame is an invitation for growth and expansion. On the other side of shame, when we're willing to look at it and be like, what is this here to tell me? What part of me needs to be seen? It is such a loving thing to do with yourself, to lean into the stuff that is uncomfortable, because you are clearing it, you are liberating it, you are seeing the things that need to be seen, that want to be seen, and that very often aren't even that scary. Sometimes they might be, right? Sometimes they might be. The more that we engage with our emotions and learn to engage with our emotions, the more conscious we are. And when we're conscious, we get to do shit on purpose. And we get to do shit on purpose that aligns with what we want. And then we get to bring what we want into fruition. When we're not so afraid of emotions, and I just want to repeat, like, what are we truly afraid of? When we break it down to like a physiological thing, it's like, I'm not going to ask her out because what if she says no? Okay. Like, what if she says no? It'll trigger and reaffirm in all my stories about how I'm going to be alone together forever. And I'm not good enough alone together. I'm not good enough, and that I'm terrible, and that I'm ugly, and that blah, 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 right? So I'm just not going to do the thing because I might feel something. You can fucking handle it. You can process these things. Like, you can fucking handle it. What if she says yes? What if she says yes? You know? So taking it down to the deepest level, it's like, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to take this step in the direction of my heart's desire because my skin might feel tingly for 5 minutes. Okay. Just like think about it for a little bit. The shit we avoid, the shit we don't do, and the shit that we do because we're afraid of feeling things. It's not pleasant. We might feel fear. We might feel fear around the possibility of feeling fear, but you're already fucking feeling fear. Well, what do you know? Every time I do something I'm afraid to do because it's outside of my comfort zone, my life expands and I get more confident. Right? Right? So fear will come along. The way that I think of it is fear comes in the car. You don't have fear steer the car. They can come along. It's like, okay, you're here again. All right. Yeah. Like maybe that thing, that worst case scenario thing would happen, but what would that elicit? Shame. Can I handle shame? Yeah. Do I like it? Is it pleasant? No. Does it get easier and more pleasant the more I learn to be with it and process it and alchemize it? Yeah. Can I just not? No. You got to feel it. You got to feel it. And by feeling it, you let energy and motion, you let it move through you. So to validate, and also none of this is coming from a place of shaming. This is like, we literally aren't taught to do these things. We're not taught to do them. And they're not always easy, especially when we feel shame around not knowing how to do them in the first place. So none of this is coming from a place of, if this has been your experience, then you are bad, right? Don't let ninja our critical voice. It's just like, oh God, isn't it good to know there's a dead rat under the house? Yeah. When we can process our emotions, we create energetic freedom for ourselves. We can be so much lighter. It's me again, speaking from the present, bookending the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed this. And FYI, if you want to sponsor this podcast, if you want to contribute to this podcast, you are very welcome to. There's no obligation. But if that's something you feel inspired to do, make a monthly contribution, have at it. I would welcome that. The link to do that, and you can choose whatever amount you want if you feel inspired, is on Apple Podcasts. You go to the description of this podcast and you can click support podcast and contribute monthly, whatever you would like to, if you would like to. I will catch you on the next episode. And as always, let me know what you think. Tag me on Instagram if you reshare a screenshot of this episode. It's all helpful. It all delights me. So thank you for supporting me as I support you. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Pillow Talk Radio. I'm Cora Boyd, and make sure to subscribe so we can keep you in the loop. In the interim, you can find me on Instagram at @theCoraBoyd, YouTube Cora Boyd, website coraboydcoaching.com. Have an excellent rest of your day, night, morning, evening, whatever it is, wherever you are, and we'll catch you next week.